Hello, I'm Sensei Alex Kakio. Thank you for joining me for meditation and sutra study. Tonight's practice will consist of a 15-minute guided meditation, a reading from the Brahma's Net Sutra, followed by a Dharma talk. The title of tonight's talk is The 10 Nourishing States of Buddhism. Before we get into that, please make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. So, as we get started with tonight's guided meditation, I'll give you a moment to get into position. My only rule is that you're in a position that you can hold without moving for about 15 minutes and that you're comfortable. You can lay down if you want, but if you do, please don't fall asleep. If you'd like some instruction, what I'd like to do is take my left hand, place it in my lap, palm up. Then I take my right hand, put it over the left, back straight, chin slightly tucked. Eyes can be closed, or if you want to keep them open, that's fine. Just have them half closed. Pointed downwards at a 45-degree angle to eliminate visual distractions. And we'll start tonight's meditation with the breath. Breathing in and out through the nose. Breathing in this way engages the parasympathetic portion of our nervous system. Signals to our body that we're safe, that we can relax. And as we continue to breathe, on every inhale, we poke out our belly button like we had a large meal, and on every exhale, we relax. Breathing from our belly in this way expands our diaphragm, allowing more air to come into our lungs, once again signaling to our body that we're safe, that we can relax, allowing us to drop into deeper states of meditation. Next, we may be wondering what to do with our thoughts. And we'll simply bring our focus to the physical sensations of our breath, the air going in and out of our lungs, feeling of our chest expanding and contracting, our belly button going out and in with every inhale and every exhale. If our mind wanders, that's okay. We simply say hello to our thoughts and bring our focus back to our breathing. We'll do this for about 2 minutes. We'll just breathe. I'll keep time. No need to worry about that. Great work. And as we continue to breathe in and out through the nose, poking out the belly button on every inhale, we'll now start the visualization portion of our meditation. Visualizing a fire burning in our belly, in the space behind our belly button. This fire represents our spiritual energy, and it's our favorite color. If we like blue, the fire is blue. If we like green, the fire is green. Now we'll take some time to build up the spiritual power within ourselves. With every inhale, we bring air through our nose into our lungs. With every exhale, we visualize ourselves blowing on that fire just like we would a campfire in the woods, making it bigger and brighter with every breath. We breathe in through our nose, air comes into our lungs. We breathe out through our nose, we blow on the fire of our enlightenment, building it up with every breath. We'll do this for about a minute. I'll keep time. And if our mind wanders, that's okay. We simply say hello to our thoughts and bring our focus back to our breath and to the visualization. Great work. You're all sitting so quietly and so still. There's a wonderful energy with this practice, and I enjoy sharing it with you. Now, as we continue to sit, we'll expand our visualization, sending a channel of energy down from our belly, down, down, down to the center of the earth. And once we get there, we'll find an energy that's identical to our own. If the fire in our belly is blue, the earth's energy is blue. If the fire in our belly is green, the earth's energy is green. When the Buddha realized enlightenment, he did so by reaching down and touching the earth. And that's what we're going to do. With every inhale, we'll visualize energy coming up from the earth, up, 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 until it reaches that fire in our belly, making it bigger and brighter still. And with every exhale, we continue to blow on that flame. Every inhale, energy comes up from the earth. Every exhale, we blow on that energy, magnifying it, making it bigger, brighter, stronger, feeding our own enlightened nature. We'll do this for about 2 minutes. We'll just breathe in and out through the nose as we pull the earth's energy into ourselves, noticing that the earth is never depleted. The more energy it gives, the more energy it has to give. And if our minds wander, we say hello to our thoughts. Come back to the breathing and the visualization. Good work. Now we'll add a second channel of energy to the visualization. This one goes up from our belly, up, past our solar plexus, past our throat, all the way to the top of our head. So we have one channel of energy going down into the earth, the other channel of energy going from our belly to the top of our head. With every inhale, we'll pull energy up from the earth, storing it in our belly, the seat of our enlightenment. And with every exhale, we'll push that energy out of the top of our heads until it explodes like a volcano, covering every inch of us in healing spiritual light. We breathe in, energy comes up from the earth. We breathe out through the nose, that energy goes up on the top of our heads, covering our whole body. We'll do this for about a minute, bathing ourselves in healing light, continuing to breathe. I'll keep time. Wonderful. This has been terrific practice. The energy is great. But now it's time to bring it to a close. So slowly, gently, we close off the energy channel to the top of our heads. With every breath, first it barely reaches our nose, and it barely reaches our solar plexus until finally it returns to our belly. Then we close the energy channel, going down to the earth, pulling it up, up, up into ourselves. Maybe we do a mental bow to the earth, thanking her for supporting us in our practice. So we finish right where we started, with the energy of our spiritual power, our enlightenment burning in our belly. We take a moment to notice that it's there, and it'll always be there anytime we need to call upon it. And then we slowly let the visualization fade away. As we come back into our bodies, we move our heads to the left, to the right, back and forth, feeling the physical sensations. Finally, we come back to center, roll our shoulders forward, then back. Again, just feeling the sensation of the movement. Till finally our shoulders hang gently down towards the ground. And then when we're ready, and only when we're ready, if our eyes are closed, we open them. I'll give you about 30 seconds to do that. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the sutra reading for this evening's practice. A reading from the Brahma's Net Sutra using the BDK English Tripitaka translation. Not necessary to have a copy of the sutra, but it's useful if you'd like to follow along. We'll be starting at page 13, the 10 Nourishing Mental States. 1. The mental state of kindness. Vairochana Buddha said, "1,000 Buddhas listen well. You previously inquired about the 10 nurturing mental states. My disciples always maintain an attitude of kindness. Having already produced the causes of joy in the state of the insight into selflessness, you enter dharmas of contemplation associated with joy. Such major dharmas as sensation, perception, karmic formation, consciousness, and form have no arising, no abiding, and no cessation. They are illusory, like phantasms. Since reality is not two, all practices complete the wheel of Dharma. You transform all sentient beings such that they are able to give rise to correct faith and avoid evil teachings. You are also able to cause all sentient beings to attain the fruition of kindness and joy, which is neither substantial nor the result of wholesome or unwholesome activities. This is the samadhi that understands the emptiness of essences. 2. The mental state of pity. My disciples take pity as empty and without marks. With pity as condition, practice the way, automatically extinguishing all suffering. Amid the innumerable sufferings of sentient beings, you produce wisdom, not killing based on the compassion of the awareness of the suffering of sentient beings, not killing based on the compassion of the awareness of the true nature of phenomena, and not killing based on the compassion of non-attachment to self. If one always abstains from killing, stealing, and engaging in lust, all sentient beings will be unafflicted, giving rise to the determination for enlightenment. In emptiness, one sees the true characteristics of all dharmas. Amid the practices of the stage of seed nature, one gives rise to the mental state of awareness of the way. Amid the 6 intimacies, the 6 negative intimacies, and the 3 grades of evil, together with superior bliss and wisdom within the virulence of the evil conditions, there are the 9 grades of attaining bliss. When the emptiness of the effects becomes clear, one's own self is equal to all other sentient beings, and in one instant of bliss, one gives rise to great pity. 3. The mental state of joy. My disciples, when you are enjoying the state of the non-production of thoughts, the awareness of the path, of the essence of the aspects of basic proclivity for Buddhahood, is the joyous mind of emptiness. Unattached to I and mine, one emerges and disappears in the 3 divisions of time, past, present, and future, without accumulating causes and effects, and all existent things enter emptiness. The practice of contemplation is complete, and one gives joy equally to all sentient beings. Giving rise to emptiness and entering the way, one abandons unwholesomeness, comrades, and seeks out wholesome ones. Showing my favorite way, I cause all sentient beings to enter the family of the Buddha Dharma. Within the Dharma, one always gives rise to joy, and within this Dharma stage, once again, sentient beings enter into correct faith and abandon mistaken views. They go beyond the course of suffering in the 6 destinies, and therefore they are joyful. 4. The mental state of non-attachment. My disciples, you should always give rise to the mental state of non-attachment. Non-creation, marklessness, and the emptiness of dharmas are like empty space. The pairs of good and evil, having views and not having views, sinfulness and blessedness are all equalized in a singular illumination. The negation of the personality and the negation of I and mine, coupled with the unobtainability of the self-natures of self and other, result in great detachment, which extends to one's own body. Flesh, hands, and feet, male and female, states and cities, like phantoms, flowing rivers, and burning lamps. One lets go of all such objects of attachment. Without giving rise to thought, you constantly cultivate non-attachment. 5. The mental state of giving. My disciples, in the mental state of giving, you are able to provide things to all sentient beings. Through giving in acts of body, speech, and mind, giving possessions, and giving the Dharma, you guide all sentient beings within one's family and outside of it. Categories of states and cities, male and female, farmland and domiciles, all are marked by thusness, up to non-awareness of the object that is given, its recipient or its donor. There is no gathering and scattering either internally or externally, and no thought that you are teaching others. Through penetrating the principle and penetratingly giving, all marks are readily apparent. 6. The mental state of caring speech. My disciples, you should enter into the samadhi of essential caring speech. The meaning of the Dharma speech of the cardinal truth, all truth speech without exception accords with one spoken word, which soothes the mind of all sentient beings so that they are free from both anger and strife. The cognition of the emptiness of all dharmas without conditions constantly gives rise to the mental state of gentle caring. Your actions accord with the Buddha's intention, and you also accord with all other beings. Using the speech of the Holy Dharma, you teach all sentient beings continually, applying the mind of thusness, giving rise to wholesome roots. 7. The mental state of beneficence. My disciples, you should give rise to beneficent states of mind, using the essence of true cognition to broadly practice the path of wisdom. Gathering all brightly shining Dharma teachings, gathering the 7 holy assets for the practice of contemplation. Since those immediately before you have received benefit, you should also receive this benefit of body and life and enter the beneficent samadhi, displaying all acts of body, speech, and mind, thereby moving the great world into activity. Through all your activities and functions, others who enter in the Dharma seed, the emptiness seed, and the path seed will obtain benefit, and the effects of bliss taking form in the 6 destinies, undergoing immeasurable suffering. Don't take this as painful. Instead, see it simply as an opportunity to help others. 8. The mental state of sameness. My disciples, take the wisdom of the essence of the way to be the same as the emptiness of the non-arising of dharmas. Take the wisdom of no self to be the same as production without duality. Emptiness is the same as the original object. Dharmas are marked by thusness, always arising, always abiding, always disappearing. Conventional dharmas continue in innumerable evolutions, yet they are able to manifest the activities of countless shaped bodies, form, and minds that enter into the 6 destinies in all shared affairs. Emptiness is the same as non-arising. The self is the same as nothingness, yet dividing your body and scattering your form into the samadhi of the sameness of dharmas. 9. The mental state of concentration. My disciples, you should furthermore accord with the mental state of concentration. Through contemplative wisdom, you witness emptiness. In each thought, you calm conditions. The dharmas of I and mine operate within the sphere of consciousness and the sphere of form, yet remain unchanged. Through both resistance and acquiescence to the flow of samsara, you continually enter the 100 samadhis and the 10 limbs of meditation. Using one moment of wisdom to construct this view, all selves and individuals, whether internal or external, and all the seeds of sentient beings neither combine nor disperse. They gather, take form, and arise, but they are unobtainable. 10. The mental state of insight. My disciples, you should create the mental state of insight and observe that all fetters such as false views, active afflictions, latent afflictions, and so forth lack definitive essence. Because patient endurance based on the realization of the birthlessness of phenomena is the same as emptiness, they are neither the dharmas of the aggregates, elements, sense fields, or sentient beings, nor are they a unitary self. They are not cause and effect or the 3 times. The nature of insight produces crystal clear illumination, and a single light shines everywhere. One sees voidness without sensation. These skillful means of insight give rise to the mental state of nurturance. And in this mental state, one enters into the production of the path of emptiness giving rise to the unrisen mind. The gateway to the knowledge of all dharmas has already been explained earlier in the chapter on the luminous king of the 1,000 seas. So, those are the 10 nourishing mental states that we are told to build up within ourselves as Dharma practitioners. But why? Why is that necessary? Why should we nourish anything? Well, in order to understand that, first we have to understand the teaching of emptiness. Emptiness simply states that there is nothing in samsara that has a permanently, separately abiding self. We are all the conglomeration of various things around us. First off, being the coming together of our parents. The egg and the sperm come together, child is born, but then that child has other things that come in, right? I'm the conglomeration of the food I ate for breakfast, of the media I consume, social media, movies, etc. The Dharma books I read, my life experiences, the air I breathe, all of that comes together to make me. And it's the same with you, it's the same with everyone. We are all products of our environment. So when the Dharma tells us that we are empty, it doesn't mean that we don't exist. It means rather that we exist as part of a much larger whole. Imagine a leaf on a tree. The leaf has its own individual existence. It's a leaf, but it's also part of a tree. If you drop a drop of water into a lake, it's a drop, but once it hits the water, it expands and becomes the lake or becomes the ocean. So none of us exist by ourselves. No man is an island unto himself, as Shakespeare once said. And if we understand the teaching of emptiness, then a desire to nourish not only ourselves and other sentient beings naturally arises. And to understand how this works, we simply need to look at our own bodies. If my hands are cold, I automatically put them in my pocket or I wear gloves. There's no thought of, well, are they good hands or do they deserve to be nourished? No, because I understand intuitively that my hands are part of me. So I care for them automatically just as I care for myself. The teaching of emptiness, when we truly understand it, causes us to see everyone and everything as a part of our own physical body. We care for others the same way we care for our hands. When they're hungry, we feed them, just like when we're hungry, we feed ourselves. When they're tired, we give them a place to rest in the same way that when we're tired, we give ourselves a place to rest. Thus, the teaching of emptiness doesn't separate us from the world. It moves us farther into it. It connects us with the whole. By removing the illusion of a separate, permanently abiding self. Now, what does this mean in terms of practical application? Well, the individual speaking in the sutra is Vairochana. Vairochana is the embodiment of the Dharmakaya, or the truth, the wisdom body, rather, of Buddha, the primordial essence of enlightenment. So what Vairochana is saying is that these practices will help us see the Buddha body for ourselves. It'll help us realize enlightenment, complete enlightenment, Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Because when we understand emptiness, we understand that things like meditating, sutra study, these are spiritual practices, but washing the dishes, walking the dog, showing up to work for time, these are also spiritual practices as well. Because we are nurturing not only the Buddha within ourselves, but the Buddha within others as well. So this is why we are told, in order to realize enlightenment, we have to build up and maintain these nourishing mental states. Because by learning to nourish others, by learning to nourish ourselves, we move forward in our path towards enlightenment. This is why I always say there is no ordinary part of our lives that is not spiritual practice, if done with a mind of Dharma. But what is nourishment? That can be hard to figure out. Because there are a lot of things that are pleasurable that aren't necessarily nourishing. When I was a kid, I used to love fast food. I don't know why, but McDonald's, Burger King, I was all about it. So I'd always ask to go to those places to eat. And sometimes my parents would take me, but normally they would say, no, we have food at home. And that food was prepared by my mother, and it was nourishing, and it was healthy. Fruits, vegetables, oatmeal, etc. So I grew up healthily. Now, if they had not done that, if they had not given me that nourishing, wholesome, life-affirming food, if they just allowed me to stuff my face with junk food like I wanted to, would I have had more pleasure as a child? Maybe. Would I be as healthy? No. So part of our practice is learning which mental states are nourishing and which mental states are not. Kindness is a nourishing mental state. Pity is a nourishing mental state. Seeing others that are suffering and wanting to help. These are mental states that move us towards enlightenment. Greed, anger, ignorance. These are mental states that move us away from enlightenment. To put it another way, as it states in the sutra, greed, anger, and ignorance reinforce this idea of I, me, mine. It separates us from the Buddha body. Ideas like us, we, togetherness move us towards the Buddha body, towards a complete and full enlightenment. So by helping those around us, by nourishing them, and by nourishing ourselves, we move towards awakening. But once we determine what nourishment is, we next have to figure out, well, how do we nourish others? And this can be tough, because sometimes the way we want to nourish other people is not the way they want or need to be nourished. As an example, I'm a problem solver. I'm always figuring out, oh, you're suffering in this way, what's the solution? Oh, that's broken, well, how can we fix it? And sometimes that's what's needed. But sometimes the nourishment that's requested is simply to be seen and be validated. I had to learn in my own life that not everyone wants advice. Not everyone wants a solution to their problem. Sometimes they just want to talk. This is embodied in Kannan, the Bodhisattva of compassion, she who hears the cries of the world. She's not a problem solver. She listens, she sees, she validates. On the other hand, we have Monju, or Manjushri, as he's sometimes called, the Bodhisattva of wisdom. He holds the flaming sword in his one hand to cut through delusion and the Buddhist sutras in the other. Monju is a problem solver. He is the friend who tells you, oh, read this book, eat this food, study this scripture, try this meditation practice. Very good, very healthy in the right moment, but sometimes we need Kannan. We just need someone to listen and hear what we have to say. So part of being nourishing to the world around us is figuring out which bodhisattva is required in that moment and manifesting that in ourselves. Do we need to be the bodhisattva of wisdom who solves problems? Or do we need to be the bodhisattva of compassion who listens and understands? Now, the good thing is you are Buddhas. You have your own internal wisdom, so you can listen to that and figure out which is which. But if you're not sure, it's okay to simply ask the question. Do you want me to offer solutions, or do you just want a listening ear? And people generally will tell you what they're looking for, and then you can nourish them in the appropriate way. Another way that we can provide nourishment to the people and sentient beings around us is through our work, through our labor. as Westerners, we're sort of allergic to the idea of work. We have a society built around comfort and not wanting to do anything more that's not pleasurable. But sometimes nourishment comes through labor. I learned this when I was working as a farm apprentice. And we get done with meals, and maybe it's this person's turn to do dishes, and they go off to check on something else, and then I slide in and I do the dishes for them. Now, to be honest, that's not something I wanted to do. I don't like washing dishes, but I wanted to be a good Buddhist. And I knew that through my labor, that was an effective way to nourish the other apprentices on the farm. Such a simple thing, washing dishes, and yet it just blew people's minds. That one less thing I have to do. Taking care of our animals. We don't think of it as Buddhist practice, but it is. If we have a pet, if we have a house plant, ensuring that they have the fertilizer or the water they need if it's a plant, or the food and the medications they need if it's a pet, is a Buddhist practice. It's a nourishing practice. And every time we do that, every time we care for another sentient being, be it a plant, be it a pet, be it a friend, we are moving closer to that we-ness, that thusness that's a part of emptiness. And we are manifesting the Buddha within us, manifesting our own enlightened nature. There's a beautiful passage in the Brahmasnet Sutra. We'll read it in the future, so spoiler alert. It says that we must be emptied of emptiness. That we must go so deep into our Buddhist practice, so deep into the realization that all of this is an illusion, that we come out the other side and we care for it anyway. We care for the plants, we care for the people, we care for ourselves. Because out of emptiness, a feeling, a sense of compassion arises. This is the compassion that caused Buddha to stand up and walk out from the Bodhi tree, putting his own happiness aside at times so that he could teach the Dharma to others and save them from suffering. This is the compassion of Kanaan, who hears the cries of the world. The compassion of Monju, who provides wisdom teachings to help solve our problems. And this is the compassion that you exhibit in every moment of your life when you assist the people around you, or when you do something to assist yourself. Because you are a Buddha as well, and you are deserving of nourishment. Amitabha. So, that's the talk for today. Hope it was helpful. And now we'll just do a few announcements. So, this is Meditation and Sutra Study. We do it every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And it consists of a 15-minute guided meditation, a reading from a sutra, followed by a Dharma talk. Every Sunday, we do Dharma Sunday, which is a bit more straightforward. That consists of simply a reading from something that's happening in real-world events, in the news, pop culture, etc. And then there's a Dharma talk. Also 6:30 p.m. Eastern, also at this channel. So feel free to join me in the future if you like. Until next time, Amitabha.